maybe you're not wrong. Maybe there is a chance we come down, but there's also a chance that we go up. And if we go up, you're certainly priced out.
Yeah, of course. Again, this is where we start talking about the visa, the golden visa.
If you're buying off plan, you have the option of buying whichever units you prefer. It's a secondary market is only with what's available in the market where other people are selling. Welcome back to part 2 of the off-plan and secondary market overview series. And we're back with Prince after a short break.
Yeah.
Stretch our legs. Lots of stuff happening on the floor. We can't keep dipping out for hours at a time. Leave our teams to their own devices.
Big teams.
Big teams. A lot of movement happening out there.
Okay, so question for you. What legal considerations should investors be made aware of?
That's a really good question, especially specific to off-plan. One of the most important things, and I think investors locally are more educated with respect to this, but overseas, is when you're giving any amount of money to an off-plan developer, you have to ensure that the money is going into the escrow account.
Exactly.
Not into the corporate account. It is not legal for any primary developer to be accepting cash in a corporate account against a project. It has to go into the escrow account. And that's a protection that is awarded to the investor by the government regulations.
So what would the investor need to see to ensure the difference of account?
Essentially, you should be given 2 separate accounts from the developer to whomever is investing. One of them will be a corporate account where you can transfer your 4% DLD. And then the other one has to be an escrow account, which would plainly state the name and title of the project. And you should be able to verify that that's the escrow account. So just ensure that any money that's going to a developer is going into an escrow account. The exception to this is in certain cases when you have to put down expression of interests. In a pre-launch phase, you may, in order to secure a unit or a property in the launch, be sending money into a corporate account prior to the launch. This is, again, a very rare occurrence. Typically, if you're here locally and you have a bank account and you have a checkbook, you will just give a check in the name of the developer. However, if you're overseas and you don't want to miss the chance, there may be a way that you can sort of put down an EOI in the corporate account, which will be transferred later to the escrow account. But you've got to have a reservation form, you've got to have a pro forma invoice, you've got to ensure that everything's under your name.
Okay, and from a secondary perspective?
Right, for legalities, secondary market, I've done a couple of deals here and there with secondary market, and I quite like how it's structured with the Form A, Form B, Unified Contract F. I think it's pretty straightforward. I actually enjoy it.
Simplified now.
It's quite simplified. But what I see about the secondary market is, because with respect to off-plan, you have a sales and purchase agreement, and that's standard template, boilerplate for every single apartment within that property. However, every secondary market deal is unique. It's like a fingerprint, because there could be a POA involved in the transaction. There could be somebody else who's selling it, and then the money has to go into somebody else's account, and maybe somebody else is paying for it through somebody else's checkbook. And all of this stuff, sort of the finer details, needs to go into the contract as an appendix, right? Or as added on
addendum, appendix, additional
notes,
yeah.
And which makes it, and every deal that I've done in the secondary market has been a super complicated deal, and we've always had addendums attached to it, and then you've got to read through everything with respect to making sure that all the money is going in the right places. So, for example, I did earlier this year an off-plan resale. So the addendum and the additional notes with what is going to the original buyer, how much of that money is going to be premium, and how much is going to be paid to the developer, and so on and so forth. And so there was a lot of more sort of drilling down into the contract and contract terms when it came to secondary market by lawyers on each side, as opposed to primary market. Because I did have one client from Spain show up with a lawyer in Mars office because they wanted to read the SPA and point out which of the clauses they didn't like. And I said, you know what, that's not really how it works.
It's not going to change.
We're not really going to change anything. This is as it is. It's nice to know you have a lawyer, but kind of, this is the template we have.
That's it.
And it's fair on the developers and primary, obviously. You can't have an individual sales and purchase agreement for each and every unit because you've got 400 units.
It's bulk units.
It's bulk units, and then if you go into that, customizing each and every single SPA, you'd be drowning in paperwork, and everybody would have different contracts and different understandings.
So another question then. So how can investors evaluate developers and projects in different segments, in both primary and secondary segment? How can they evaluate them? So if I'm overseas, I'm in the UK, don't really know much about Dubai. Right. I'm seeing one or two developers come over to Europe. How do I evaluate them?
It's tricky because there's so many developers now, right? And you have the big brand names. You have the developers who've capitalized most of the market. But does that necessarily mean, and yes, you get a certain amount of credibility when you're going with the big brands because they will deliver, you can probably resell at a premium, you're not going to have any hiccups with the paperwork, and it's a safer bet, it's a safer investment. But having said that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best investment. And when you start moving away from the main developers and start exploring other value propositions in developers that are relatively unknown, it can get a bit tricky because you don't know how do you test them? How do you test the credibility? And for me, it's pretty simple. It's for me to understand whether or not they have a background in construction, in any other part of the world, or even in the UAE. That's the key thing. Breaking down and deconstructing the projects that they've done in the past with respect to how much they were bought for originally and how much they're selling for, what occupancy rates they have in the market. So a quick search on the portals, speaking to a couple of people with respect to the relative areas where the project is and the property is, you can start to get a sense of what this developer is known for. There's certain developers that are known for their quality. There's certain developers that are known for their price. And there's certain developers that are known for their communities. There's certain developers that are known for their payment plans. Each and every investment in developer is not equal. And when it comes down to navigating to the best option of investment for you, is when you really need to involve a knowledgeable broker who's going to act as a consultant, move you around, understand what your needs are, what your risk appetite is, what your exit strategy is with respect to that property, what your investment strategy is, and then guide you through the different options to the one that makes the most sense to you. So I think it's not exactly, I can't give you a definitive structure on how do you identify a credible developer and credible investment versus not. I think it's more like it's more of an art form. It's more something you just have to be in it and you learn it over time.
I think you did mention it. It's the way you're going to do your due diligence is really rely on a broker here, rely on somebody here to, make sure everything is in order. Because that's it. Like you said, I'm overseas, I'm wiring money.
And the trick is though, how to build that, because I've been looking at investments overseas for myself in areas that I've been to, but I'm not there. So if somebody's sending me information about, an apartment in Bali, I'm always feeling a little triggered. Like I'm like, okay, I was speaking to this person, but I'm sending my money to this country overseas, speaking to this person on the phone. And I empathize with a lot of people who are looking to Dubai. One of the things over here is regulations is so stringent. Each and every broker has a broker card. Each and every agency is registered with the government for the work that they do. Each and every project that's being promoted needs to be registered with DLD, has a permit number, has a QR code, and all of the money that's being transferred doesn't go into the broker's personal account, doesn't go into the brokerage's personal account, goes to the developer's relative account. So we have this sort of mechanism in the market that protects the money, and it's one of the reasons why Dubai has become, why international investment is mobilizing towards Dubai, because they know their money is safe here. You're not going to get scammed out of it. Your money is not going to go missing. You are actually going to get the property that you've put your money down for. So with respect to the secondary market, what are the financing options that are available there for investors locally, overseas?
Initially, how Dubai is structured, most people will be eligible for a mortgage. Depending on the bank, and at the moment where the interest rates are, it's a good opportunity. If you're looking at something from a primary sector as well, if the project is close to completion or ideally close to handover, then you can also use the service of mortgage as well.
Yes, that's right. Like with respect to off-plan, there are certain criteria that if fulfilled, an off-plan property can be mortgaged. But I think it's far more easy and simpler for somebody who's here within the UAE to get a mortgage on a ready property. What about overseas investors who might want to get a mortgage here? Is that a financing option? No,
you tell me.
Yeah, it is. So I think they have. I think they have to.
Because most of the time overseas, it's again the demographic of overseas buyers buying secondary is a lot more. Yeah, it's shorter than in comparison to buying off plan.
Right. Yeah.
Most of the time they want to touch and see and walk around.
Right. Yeah.
And from a secondary perspective as well, we don't work with them unless they have a UAE account.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it will be. Like most of the time, for somebody to make an offer on a unit, they have to have some sort of. They have to have a presence here.
Presence here.
They have to have MSID. Base. They have to have.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So it's different. Whereas there's many buyers overseas that can buy off plan at a certain value without having any footprint. In Dubai.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's a different demographic.
It's much easier to buy off plan if you're an international investor.
Much easier to buy off plan than either way.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of approvals, paperwork, due diligence that goes into somebody who's not a resident getting a mortgage from a local bank.
Exactly.
For a property.
Exactly. There's a lot.
And you know how things are, how quickly things move here. By the time they get an overseas potential client getting approval from a bank here in a period of 8 weeks, I mean, probably the price has gone up, or that property gets sold out.
But it wouldn't really get. It's maybe in some circumstances if it was a Brit or an individual who had a bank account with HSBC. They do have a HSBC in the UAE as well.
Right.
So maybe through that avenue, you could potentially get a mortgage on assets in other countries.
Yeah.
But I don't see it I don't see it happen often.
Right. What are the other? I know we've touched upon the risk and reward for each one of the segments that we're looking after. But what are the other common pitfalls that you see with respect to investing in secondary market?
When we say pitfalls, I think in every other country, you will see very sizable pitfalls, but I think Dubai is quite unique. The only reaction I see right now today is a lot more people flying over. I see a lot more development by the same developers, the key developers as well. And now they're going into areas which we possibly didn't fathom them going into 5-10 years ago. So I don't really see any pitfalls per se with Dubai. With the roadmap of what they want to do as well, I couldn't really put my hand on something in general to say, yeah, this will be a pitfall. Maybe we might get to a point where there's so many people here, so there's more supply than demand. But for now, I don't see that happening. In Dubai, pretty much every hotel is at occupancy 95%. I would say all full.
Yeah.
There's no. I know from a holiday homes perspective, there has been a dip in holiday homes, but like I said, other short-term units are all full, all occupied outside of the key areas. So downtown, Airbnbs are at the moment at a low. However, Airbnbs in JVC are at a high. So the other areas where you can see a different sort of a client brief are full in comparison to the Palm, the downtown and the Marina Airbnbs. And like I said, hotels are all full. So this is an indicator to me that they do need to build more. There's an indicator.
It's what you're saying is I want to ask you another question. Because you're obviously in the trenches here in real estate. Everything that you said sounds very optimistic, sounds very positive. What do you have to say to people who are a little apprehensive of investing right now? Investors who are on the sidelines because they feel like the market's shot up too much too quick and maybe it's going to go down. Everything that you said to me doesn't sound like there's a downtrend.
Well, you're right. I am very optimistic, but I feel like we might get a slight correction. There might be, because at the moment, from a sales perspective, the sellers are now chasing agents more to find out what's happening with offers, with buyers. Whereas 2-3 months ago, it was the other way around. Buyers were pushing and sellers were running away.
Right.
So now we're getting to that, like a standoff.
Okay.
And this standoff again is going to now start impacting for the correction.
Okay.
You know, sellers are more willing now to talk, to do a price reduction, to get a deal over the line. So I think for any investor that has been a bit cautious to invest, I think as long as they invest with a good developer, again, I believe in a reasonable community, then I don't really see much risk to them. And this is where we talk about a difference with a cash buyer and a mortgage buyer. Chances are a cash buyer right now in today's market, you're going to be winning anyway.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking at a mortgage, then again, the rates do change. But who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict that. But over the last, pretty much since COVID, 2020, 2021, I've only seen an increase.
Same. And I mean, everything else with respect to market indicators, it seems like the market's going to rise. There may be a slight correction or maybe a slight cool off on the pace of growth, you know, with respect to how maybe we're not going to have another 18% growth year. Maybe we'll have 13% this year, you know, but it's not going to be negative. I don't feel like it's going to be negative. I feel like it's still a really good time to invest. I understand the fears people have, but for a lot of the times, it's people who are not involved with the real estate industry.
I was going to say that. The people that already have units in Dubai continue to buy more.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fears are coming initially from first-time buyers.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, the old investors who have 10, 20, they're continuing to buy another 30, 40 full floors.
Yeah.
So for them, possibly they have a higher risk appetite, who knows? But for them, they do not see, or they're not giving us an indication that this is going to change.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Okay, on the note of optimism, can you share any real-life examples of investments that your clients have done or around you that have been, the outcome of which has been very positive?
Yes, I can actually. There's some good, a couple good ones in Springs. That was my initial area where I had a buyer purchase a 4E. 4E is a standard 2-bed for 1.85, 1.9. And at the moment, it is currently on the market for 3.3.
Wow.
That is a 2-bed 4E, it's a 2-bed corner unit.
Right.
Again, Meadows 1 as well, sold a unit for 4.7, and that is also now, I believe it just got sold. It just got sold now for 7.2. Okay, and it got sold it went through a family friend who bought it. Right. Otherwise, because I'm the exclusive agent, so but because it went for a family friend, I decided to step back.
Okay, all right. Well, that sounds like a lot of exciting good deals that you may have, and I guess people, if they want to look at any of these investments, should try and reach out to you.
Indeed.
And reach out to your team.
Got a big team.
You got a big team,
and we cover all of the relevant areas in Dubai.
Okay. If anybody wants expert advice on where to invest with ready-to-move-in projects,
come to Prince.
Come to Prince. Come to the office.
For primary.
Yeah.
Go to Danny.
And where would they find you? They find you on Property Finder?
Yes, we're on all marketing platforms.
All the platforms.
Marketing platforms.
Okay. Yeah. So Prince, with respect to secondary market upcoming areas, what are your opinion on what's happening and where's your footprint so far?
So I think areas to watch would definitely be Alpha Jan. Okay,
I agree with that. That's also for offline as well.
2020, we were looking initially at JVC, JVT 2021. Alpha Jan, I've seen it sort of creep up from 2022 onwards. So I'd say Al Fujairah is definitely a key area to keep an eye on. There's a lot more movement happening now around the Jumeirah Golf Estates area. So Victory Heights has always been key, but people are starting to throw more money in that area. Tilal Al Ghaf is a community that keeps selling out.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of handovers coming up.
A lot of handovers. A big project, and now they've got a new project with Majid Al Futtaim as well.
Yes.
The
correct.
new Ghaf project, which is further up near, I believe, Arabian Ranch is free. So again, we're seeing more
like a forest community.
Exactly, we're seeing more stuff go down that area, more towards Al Maktoum Airport.
Right.
You've got Emaar South. Emaar South.
Definitely an area to watch.
Townhouse communities. You can get I believe you can get a free bed now for 1.7.
Yeah.
Perfect, beautiful price. Whereas in comparison to, so that's the Emaar community.
Yeah.
With Tilal Al Ghaf, you're looking at a free bed for around 2.95. So big difference. Different developers have different finishes.
But it's a lagoon community.
Lagoon community.
Could be different locations.
Another one would be Arjan. Arjan is showing
Definitely
a lot of signs
Arjan.
to me of, I'm excited
Yeah.
about Arjan. I'm in Dubai Hills, so I do see a lot more signboards going up in the Arjan area. I know they're really throwing, a lot of investment into that part of Dubai.
I've seen that come up. I've seen Furjan really come. A lot of developers in that area. In Arjan, and I think one of the biggest reasons, one of the pitches, every marketing pitch for an Arjan project has 15 minutes away from Dubai Hills and Dubai Hills Mall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think they might just start marketing as an extension of Dubai Hills estate.
It might as well be, because if you're saying Arjan from that side along Al Kel or Al Hel, if you go further down Business Bay and you get to Healthcare City, Al Jadaf Healthcare City is busy as well now.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity in Healthcare City. Jebel Ali as well, if you're going further up that way out, is again to add to Al Fujairah, Jebel Ali. And then that is these are areas that I feel we need to keep an eye on. And if you're talking about areas where we have a footprint, which is what I remember you saying.
Yes.
Port de la Mer. Port de la Mer right now is exciting. You have J1 Beach. J1 Beach is going to have Gaia, which is going to be one of the largest beach clubs in the world.
Wow.
Okay, they're talking about 400 sunbeds. You have all of the bougie luxury restaurants that are known worldwide will be in that area as well for J1 Beach. Also along, just behind Port de la Mer as well, you're going to have Zuma. So if you've been around to DIFC, you know you've got Zuma restaurant, Zuma nightclub. They're going to have a Zuma beach club.
Amazing.
And this is all in that area as well. This is where
it's really going to uplift the entire sort of.
This is where we have a footprint. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you mentioned.
Our office is open there. When is it opening?
It's
Yeah.
Today. Let's say today. Let's just say today.
Okay.
So ideally, that's an area where we have a footprint. We have a footprint in Blue Waters. So again, not sure if you're aware, I did see the wheel turn recently. I believe it was last week. It was turning. It was moving. So
really, that's news to me.
It was. So hopefully, I don't know if it's working, but I saw it turn.
You saw it turn. So they're testing something.
So again, that gives me.
You heard it first here.
That gives me hope.
Yeah.
That gives me hope. So so that area will be. Again, it's always a key area. Anything like that with a landmark is good. You're going to have Blue Waters Bay soon to be. I believe we're still a year away, but Blue Waters Bay is going to again change the whole concept of that area. Emaar Beachfront, beautiful area to watch.
Right.
Dubai Harbour, they're still doing some more towers.
Different developers in there as well.
But what my take-in is for that community is they're going to have one of the largest lighthouses in the world.
Okay.
It's going to be a lighthouse. It's along that side. You've got the Emaar Towers, you've got Damak Bay, Cavalli, Shoba, Sea Haven, a mall, big mall. But the lighthouse is going to be one of the biggest lighthouses in the world.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited. I live right opposite that, so I'm excited to see what's coming up.
Yeah.
And just when you think that they've just done everything that they could possibly, because they come up with another idea.
They do.
You
They
know?
do.
And on that note, waterfront properties, I think one of the best areas to watch right now for off-plan, and Arjan is definitely one of them. Dubai South, also the Valley area with the Mac Hills too. That general location. I think as time is going to go on in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to see like the main areas downtown. And I think for Arjan, JVC, these are all going to become sort of main areas, more central, especially with our project that's coming up with the mall.
They will be, but
Marina will be, but I think we'll have like a suburb community.
It's different though. I think those sort of community projects are different from like the waterfront projects.
100%.
If we're talking waterfront, we need to look at canal front. You need to look at a lot of the stuff that's happening down there. Couture.
But Dubai Maritime City, that is now.
Yeah.
That is, I think, that is the most sort of undervalued project in all of Dubai at the moment. And I've been saying
the prices are good.
Prices are really good for what they are. Price per square foot. You have about 6 different developers in there, and also just overall in the vicinity, revamping the entire area. Omniath just bought Dubai Maritime City as a master developer.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're actually turned all of that area into residential plots, which it wasn't before. There was only about 17 residential plots.
That's going to be really good then.
So yeah,
I think like just to add, Dubai right now is one of the only destinations that I'd want to be in. And I think a lot of people, again, depending on, it doesn't matter what country you're in, if you even just Google Dubai, where it ranks now in the world, it's for location, it's in the top 10.
Yeah.
It's been in the top 10 consistently now, I believe, over the last 2 to 3 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the top 10 again this year. So for me, Dubai is the place.
Prince, thank you very much for your expert insights and opinions on all the topics that we discussed today, answering our questions, taking the time out, and trying to put this stuff out there for people to see, people to learn. The purpose of this is to educate as many people and spread the word as far as we can.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you.